Okay though, serious question. Is Luke Black the Michi Rotari of our timeline? Hello, this is J.E. Realize, and I'm recording my thoughts on the second semifinal of Eurovision Song Contest Liverpool 2023. And if you hear some sounds, I got a fan right over there, because it is hot here in the Central Valley. It's, for those of you who speak metric, it's in the high 30s. And to you, you can't stand the high 30s. But here, we kind of have to take it. High 30s, low 40s, mid 40s sometimes. Yeesh. I told someone over there in the United Kingdom when I was... Anyway, I told someone over there that we could hit temperatures as high as 45 degrees Celsius, and she freaked. But, yeah. This is going to be on for the time being, as water can't cool me down. Nah. The show starts us off with a recap of Semifinal 1. Realistically, Semifinal 2 isn't as watched as Semifinal 1 or the Grand Final of Eurovision, for the simple reason that Semifinal 1 starts the whole show, and the Grand Final is the show where the winner gets decided. Semifinal 2... would have, based on the last few years, a group of death moniker to it. But I can't lie to you, Semifinal 2 was just kinda dull. There were some hits, there were some misses, but it's just kind of dull. And I thought it was just me. I thought I was just too depressed to enjoy Eurovision, in that my psyche isn't ready for a sudden and strong intake of Eurovision. But Chris West shares my sentiments. He recently released this book called Eurovision in 30 Minutes. It was intended to be an ebook, but for some reason it got a paperback release. It just arrived today when I ordered it. And yeah, I read through this book, and it says here, very clearly, the first semi looks to have better songs in it. I guess I'm not wrong. It's just dull. And it took me a lot of strength to go and revisit those songs because, wow, was I disappointed. But I went through, I listened to it, and I gotta say, while there are some songs that are pretty good, most of them are pretty good, but not by much. I guess we'll go into the first song, by Denmark, Riley, with the song Breaking My Heart. And watching this performance, I eventually thought, is the EBU going to introduce pronouns later into the contest? Like when they introduce the acts, you have the name of the country, the artist, the singer, the songwriting credits, and pronouns stacked top and bottom. Given how Eurovision is treated amiably by the LGBTQ plus community, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised. And to be honest, at this point, I wouldn't mind. It makes things a bit less complicated. But speaking of Riley's song, it's not particularly great. It's nice, although I prefer the stanzas over the chorus a little bit. It's just dull. It's okay, but I don't really expect much from this song. Next up we have Armenia, someone called Brunette, with the song Future Lover. I wonder if she's related to the Ukrainian group Brunette Shoot Blondes. I don't know, might be a bit of a stretch. But this song feels like a copycat, really. No, not Belgium's 2009 entry, no, nothing of the sort, but it feels like it's trying to take stuff from, say, Tattoo and Unicorn or something like that, put on a stage reminiscent of growing up as getting old, and have just some arbitrary dance number like in slow-mo. A lot of people copying slow-mo, And again, it's a nice sounding song, but I don't expect much from the song. It's another also rant. You're going to hear me say this over and over and over and over. A lot of these songs that are really good, but not great. I just feel underwhelmed, I really do. Next up we have Romania with Theodore Andre and the song Dejete, Off and On. And this is really dull. The previous songs were kind of dreary, but this is just unimaginative. You got this beginning with the guitar strumming and that sort of stuff, and then it just goes off the rails, goes all over the place without any rhyme or reason, has a dancer coming in the last few seconds of the song for some reason. It's just a confusing mess at that point. There really is nothing particularly special for this, and honestly, I think through all this, it's one of my least favorite songs of this semifinal. And if the first semifinal is anything to go by, it'll probably qualify too. By the way, I forgot about the secrecy level entries. Denmark secrecy level, 10 out of 10. Armenia secrecy level, 10 out of 10. Romania secrecy level, 10 out of 10. Next is Estonia, secrecy level, 10 out of 10. None of these songs are particularly special, which is why not a lot of people are talking about them. Estonia, I mean, they got this self-playing piano. That's not bad. Nice tune, nice voice, but just a simple message. Just too overly simple message and too overly basic a formula. I mean, it's nice and sweet, and it's inoffensive, honestly. It's got that going for it. But wow! Now we move on to Belgium. Secrecy level 10 out of 10 for Belgium. Gustav with Because of You. And it's not as good as that Because of You. It's a very late 2000s Belgian-esque entry with some I Am and Get a Life, Get Alive vibes. I mean, it's got the nice disco beat, and at this point, it's one of the better songs so far. But I'm looking at this song, and I'm going, this is what qualifies as top tier for the semifinal? Sure, it sounds good. It's a nice song. But I honestly don't feel attached to it. But then we move on to Cyprus. And then the first few seconds, I think to myself, finally, some intrigue. And then I go through the song and I am satisfied. Definitely a cut above the rest, a cut above the previous songs at this point. I cannot believe it took 6 songs in. This song really has a singer singing with a full voice, especially in the stanzas where a lot of artists would, come in with a weak voice because they're not too confident in their singing abilities and or can't really sing at all. The lucky one. Nice, wonderful beat, full package. It's kind of watered down compared to Azerbaijan's Truth from 2019, and of course it doesn't have that robotic arm system, but it's solid. And for the next dozen songs or something, this is about the best I could refer to. Secrecy level 10 out of 10. Now we move on to Iceland with Gilia and Power. Okay. Fun's over. You got to get back into the monotony. I mean, you get your standard ballad, and then when we start the first chorus, they start throwing dubstep into it. And, the dubstep is not bad dubstep, but if the formula for the song is pretty basic, a little bit of spice is only going to get it so far. This feels like the Icelandic 2017 entry in terms of its prospects. It could qualify really only if the rest of the semifinal is pretty weak. Also, dubstep is kind of dead at this point. Between this and Denmark, I don't see the Nordic band getting together until secrecy level 10 out of 10. Next we get Greece. Victor Vernikos with What They Say. What you say? No, What They Say. Oh, goodness sake. This song is somehow duller than most of the other songs before it. They try to do something imaginative with the staging, but it's all bizarre. You got all this Hellenic script popping up. You got this Amazon shipping factory feel in some points. You got, copies of him on the board. I mean, when has that ever been a winning formula? You can put lipstick on a pig just over and over, but ultimately, this is just dull. Real dull. At least Cyprus has a good chance of making it to the final, so Greece can give 12 points to it. No, 24 points to it. I forgot. The jury and televote have separate points now. Secrecy level 10 out of 10. And honestly, just why at this point? Especially since Greece was starting to get its mojo back with Last Dance and Die Together, and then they just trip. Next we get Poland with Blanka and the song Solo. Now I wait. No, not that solo. Also, no, not Blanco. Blanka. This song I have to give a secrecy level of 6 out of 10. Because the people in American Song Contest Reddit said, hey, does this song sound like Flirt to you? And at that point, I just closed American Song Contest Reddit on my browser. I mean, yeah, it's kind of like Flirt, but not as much as, a carbon copy of Flirt. It's more of a Miami Vice City inspired kind of bop. And with a tinge of DIY, the Stella Cole song from Georgia. No, not that Georgia. I mean Georgia 2022. Not that Georgia. I mean Atlanta. To think with how relatively okay the song is and the weird hand signals. I mean, there are some good dancers, but nothing particularly inventive or captivating. They're just really good. They're just making a simple dish well. I am befuddled that this is among the better songs at this point. Like, really? At this point, just take me to dessert. Keep fooling yourself. You know what you are. You're pathetic. Next up, we go to Slovenia with Joker Out and their song Carpe Diem, which, as you know, it's Slovenian for body swapping. I'm kidding. I know what Carpe Diem means. And right away, this song gives me two songs vibes. You got Stripper from last year from San Marino, and you got Slovenia's own song from last year, Disco. It seems to have combined both of those songs together, and it works. I don't know, it's just amazing. It works. It gives me this feeling of A Quiet Rainy Day from their very first Eurovision Song Contest in 1993. But I do have a problem with this song, and that is, it feels so much like a Måneskin clone. If people just took this song compared to the other songs, this song may qualify based on, how simple and good feeling it is. But if they compare it to Måneskin, it's dead. Secrecy level 10 out of 10. And honestly, I do feel like this song should qualify because, what else you got? Next up, we got Georgia. No, not that Georgia. I mean the European Georgia. Okay, the transcontinental Georgia. Iru and her song Echo. And, this song is definitely weird. Not the weirdest song ever, but pretty close. And her voice, her mannerisms are just creepy. That may add some allure to the song, but besides that, the song itself is just not much. a story that just repeats itself over this semifinal. Secrecy level 9 out of 10. Only because I have a feeling I heard Echo before, or I could just make it a 10 out of 10 if it turns out the only Echo I heard of was a reference to France's 2012 song. There is that. Now we move on to San Marino. Oh boy, San Marino. What are they gonna grace us with this time? It's Pick Jacks with Like an Animal. And I gotta say, while it's better than Bulgaria's rock attempt last year, it's not by much. It has the feeling of one of those Eurovision 2007 songs that chased Lordi's coattails, because, you know, Lordi won the contest and everyone wants to emulate the winner. And 2007, oh goodness sake, a lot of these rock songs are dropping like flies. This song would end up in the bottom third of that semifinal. It's not even good compared to Carpe Diem. It's just rock for the sake of rock. It's not overly stupid like Intention, but dang, I am not pleased. Secrecy level 10 out of 10. I'm supposed to be enjoying this contest, really. I'm a big fan of the contest. Yes, I know I released that video that says I'm not a Eurovision fan, but at the end, I always find myself going back to the Eurovision well, like some lover I can't do without for weeks at a time or something. But then we get into song number 13. Austria has come in with Taya and Selena and their song, Who the Hell is Edgar? First off, what the hell is that song name? That has to be one of the silliest English language Eurovision song titles I have seen in recent memory. Not foreign language, because Foki mit dem Popo, yeah, a song like that exists. If you're new to Eurovision, look up Eurovision Austria 2012. And I'm gonna say this, the reason I preferred Cha 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 from this year's contest over that song is because Finland's song has what we call in the business a slicker flow. But getting back to the whole thing, originally I was kind of not pleased by the song. I was entertained by the possible allegory of large language models, machine learning algorithm, OpenAI, and the entire concept of people just going to these websites powered by these things and typing in, hey, write this story with these bullet points, but you have to write it like Edgar Allan Poe, and just going in for a quick cash grab when honestly the prospects are not great. If that was the allegory they were going for, okay, that is cool. And I don't usually read stuff into it, but I'm trying to learn. And this looks pretty straightforward. But besides that, I thought, that kind of song would just NQ. I mean, Austria had been giving it an effort since 2018, and they've been down on their luck because no one apparently cares, and now with the jury gone, they're done. But then I warmed up to it, something I wish I could have done with I Coração. And this song, I have to admit, is real funny. It's real entertaining. I like it. I really like it. I don't think it's particularly smart, but I do think it's just really funny. Pretty creative and all that sort of stuff. And to be honest, if this qualified, I wouldn't be as ticked off with Austria as I was with Romania when they qualified in 2022. I mean, Romania was trying to give it an effort after 2017, but they only qualified with a Latin bop that wasn't even that inventive? At least here with Austria, you could say all the novelty factor is there. I guess, good work, Austria. You may fail to qualify again, but at least I recognize your strengths. Secrecy level 7.5 out of 10 though, because when I ordered the 2023 album, I made the mistake of scrolling down the web page, and there was the discography, and that name caught my eyes. Who the hell is Edgar? But the reason it isn't lower on that list is because I thought it was going to be a song about cheating. You know, cheating on a relationship or that sort of stuff. I didn't expect this. No, I did not. Okay, come on, hang in there. We just have 3 more songs. Next up is Albania with Albina and Familia Kelmendi. Wait, Albina? You mean like Croatia 2021? No. Snap out of it. We're not talking about that. And their song Duje. I mean, I kinda do like it, but the problem is, it's just so old-fashioned. It's another ethnic Albanian ballad, and I really hope, since FIK introduced the televote, I hope that the televoters weren't responsible for this. It really sounds like it comes out of 2005, and compared to Amar pelos Deutsch, I can't see many people willing to revisit this. It's nice, it's smooth, but the day of these Balkan-esque ballads has basically keeled over and fallen limp. Secrecy level 10 out of 10. Now we move on to Lithuania with Monika Linkite and the song Stay Until We Find Out. In all seriousness, Stay is now in that illustrious Eurovision club of song titles that are shared by 3 or more songs. Congratulations, Stay! You did it! You're up there with Time and Shine, and I think there was one more. I forgot, but you know what I mean. But this song, while I would normally describe it as reviving, after all the stuff that I went through, it's, again, another not much song. You know, nice song, nice voice, nice message. But at this point, given all the songs I had listened to at this point, the matter of who's going to qualify or not to the grand final is kind of a toss-up. I mean, it's less of a group of death and more of a group of boredom at this point, and that's not what I had imagined. But I did notice something, because she says Lietuva at the end of the performance. And the reason that had knocked on my head was because Donny Montel did the same thing in the 2016 grand final. And then I realized, wait, isn't that the endonym for Lithuania? Huh. That's not bad, actually. Secrecy level 10 out of 10. Final song. And I was honestly hoping Australia had to be the last one up, right? Please, let them send a good song. Let the final close with a bang. And oh boy, did it! We get Voyager. First off, I gotta say, secrecy level 10 out of 10, despite what I'm going to tell you, because I have heard of Voyager. Basically, after Eurovision 2022 concluded, a lot of people said, oh, Sheldon Riley shouldn't have participated in Eurovision 2022. It should have been Voyager there. They should have gone on to do really well, maybe even win the whole thing. And I will admit, while it was cool to see some ASD representation in the contest, especially considering it's basically just 2, and they haven't particularly done really well. The other instance is Aina Monpita, known for being one of the favorites to win before ending up last place in the semifinal. Goodness sake! Yeah, I would understand if Voyager had a better song. I would understand why they would be ticked. I didn't listen to it though, because that would break my national final rule. Anyway, the song they sent was Promise, and finally, a contender for the throne! An actual, honest-to-goodness song that could fight for the Eurovision trophy. Could it win? I don't know, it's gonna have a tough uphill battle, but I don't see why not. But first, I really love the 80s retro-futuristic feel to this song. Doing 80s synth is one thing, and Iceland should really reconsider that idea, given, you know, the results in Iceland 2021, and they should have considered that for 2017, but we got Svala instead. Yes, I totally understand when a favorite of yours in the national final doesn't get through to Eurovision. I totally get it. But 80s retro futuristic, oh my goodness, the song just rocks. There were a few blemishes here and there, but it was solid. Oh, and that Cockney accent. While I am straight, if I was not, I would honestly say that that is a snack. And in terms of Australia's performance in Eurovision, I hadn't seen anything that particularly wowed me since Tonight Again. That was peak Australia Eurovision for me. And I will say We Got Love came close, but that was hampered by just a not good performance. But now, I feel like Australia has one of their best chances to win the whole thing. Except, I also feel like if this gets drawn for the first half of the grand final, it's gonna open the show. If that were the case, I guess we'll say goodbye to hosting the contest in Dresden, for instance. Or Cologne, or Leipzig, or Hamburg, or Berlin, or Stuttgart, or Bonn. There are a lot of German cities. Goodness sake. This is what happens when you are a Bundesrepublik. I mean, we already got Eurovisions in Frankfurt, Munich, and Dusseldorf. Why not entertain the idea of trying to host a Eurovision in each German state at this point? I mean, I honestly don't get why no one told me that Voyager was back. You would think through all the spoilers, someone would say, hey, Voyager's back. This was our pick for 2022. Nothing. It was Cha-Cha, it was Tattoo, it was for some reason Solo, I don't know. Not that a strong finishing song in this semifinal makes up for the fact that this is a rather weak semifinal. Australia is gonna go in straight up. Cyprus is gonna go in straight up. There's no debate at this point in my mind. Everyone else, it's gonna be a struggle. Anything goes at this point. Just anything. Welcome to the group of boredom, ladies and gentlemen, where I have no idea. I'll still make my personal rankings, but we'll get to that. Now it's time to open up the phone lines. The phone lines are open, all that sort of stuff. Wait, is that Peppa Pig leading a conga line? What? Even I'm too young for Peppa Pig, a person who entertains the idea of watching Miraculous Ladybug and Witch and Steven Universe and all this other sort of stuff. Yeah, Peppa Pig is the one bridge I won't step on. But goodness sake, the hilarity of that idea. Remember the Wombles? No, because you rubbed that off your memory. I remember them, so you don't have. But of course this would happen. Of course the Brits would do this. Luckily, this was in the second semifinal, so no one could see it. Now we move on to the voting. And when I went in to do my round of complimentary non-voting, because I can't really afford to give up 20 quids, I noticed that the flag of Earth has been changed from the United Nations flag. I find that pretty hilarious. They used a different Earth flag for this, and honestly, I know why. It's just a bit of a laughing, crying shame because I called it. Now we move on to the interval act. We get, some Ukrainian performances and a nice Christmas carol sort of thing. And then the voting lines close, some other stuff happen. We get the automatic qualifiers performing. I think it was Spain, the United Kingdom, and Ukraine. I kind of like the idea of splitting and putting away the automatic qualifiers into their semifinals based off of how well they performed the previous contest. The 3 members that did the worst would be in the first semifinal, and the 3 members that did the best, which includes the winner, would be in the second semifinal. I don't know if Martin Österdahl intended this to happen, but it is kind of funny. I like Easter eggs like this. But yeah, before we move on to the results, I may as well give you my qualifiers list. The middle is kind of It fluctuated so much that I wouldn't be surprised if some entries end up flipped in position at that point. But yeah, first place is Australia, second is Cyprus, and very down is Romania. Because seriously, what the f***? And we're back! And talking about the results of this year's Eurovision Semifinal 2. I'm going to try not spoiling what I thought about these contenders. We're gonna run over them one by one. Oh, no, not run over them. Run through them. Oh my god, it's even worse. We're just going to cover them and suffocate them. Stop it! Stop being so weird! First up is Albania. And Albania, I was having a bit of trouble putting this on the list, and it was 10th in my qualification list for Semifinal 2. But ultimately, there were really 5 entries I didn't feel comfortable with taking to the final. That made things a lot easier. Next up, we have Cyprus, announced second. Okay, that's not promising. Then we have Estonia. Estonia ended up 11th on my list. Nice song, but ultimately I didn't give it too much credit. But I'm fine with accepting it. It's rather inoffensive. Then we get Belgium. It's a good sounding song at the end of the day, I'll give it that much. Then Austria. Woohoo! I'm really surprised that the public pulled through to qualify this one, but I'm glad they did. Then we get Lithuania. Not bad. Poland. Australia. They were announced 8th. Obviously, they were going to be announced 8th, given the appeal. 9th up is Armenia. And at this point, I realized I was so close. Besides Estonia, all of the qualifiers announced so far were on my top 10. I hadn't felt this excited for a semifinal that honestly isn't that exciting. Good songs, I say again. I just really hoped that I could get a new record breaker. 9 out of 10 qualifiers. 9 out of 10 of my top 10 list advancing to the final. And I kind of hoped, given we had left Slovenia and Iceland on my list, I was pushing for Slovenia. Iceland was, you know, generic pop ballad with dubstep, which didn't really add much to the song. The song was the dubstep was a little bit of annoyance. But Slovenia, I had really hoped that the people would see past the whole Måneskin clone stuff and just put them in the final. And they did. I just realized that the mic is sideways. I really hope that doesn't affect anything. Oh dear. I got, for the first time ever, 9 out of 10 of my top 10 of a semifinal qualified to a final. My goodness. Besides Estonia, and Estonia was so close I could give them a pass. All of my entries had qualified except for Iceland. And I'm honestly okay with Iceland losing. Everyone else. Greece, it was just really boring. Romania, I don't even get it. San Marino, it sounded like a mess. And other two, which I kind of flaked on remembering what they were. Oh, yeah, Georgia. No, just hard no. And Denmark was pretty dull. With that out of the way, finally, I got semifinal 2 out of the way, and I can enjoy the final in peace. I mean, some of the songs there will be dull, coming from the virtue of coming out of semifinal 2, and then there's Croatia from semifinal 1. But hopefully the Big 5 plus host can throw in some good stuff. It's a toss-up at this point. Probably Italy will do well. France, I've heard some things about France. I don't even know what Spain or Germany is up to. And United Kingdom, we'll have to see if they're second place was a fluke or not. I'm kinda thinking it is, but I haven't heard their song. But hey, let's move past that. We got a final to wake up to. Or look back on, given the release schedule. Do the feedback thing, like, comment, subscribe, or dislike because I had particular bile to spew at this semifinal. I mean, woof. Follow me on Twitter at JERealize. This has been JERealize. I'll see you next time, and there will be a next time.